Hi guys, good morning. In today's session, we are going to understand what is Jenkins, why we need Jenkins, and how to set up Jenkins in Linux machine. All right, let's get started. First, what is a Jenkins? Jenkins is one free and open source software. This Jenkins is developed by using Java language. You no need to purchase the license to use the Jenkins because it is free and it is open source software. This Jenkins software is developed by using Java language. That means in order to install the Jenkins, first we need to install Java in our machine. This Jenkins is used to automate, build and deployment process of the application. Developers will write the code. Developers will keep the code into Git repository. Once the code is available in the Git repository, then operations team is responsible to perform build and a deployment process. So earlier, people used it to perform manual build and deployment process. So that is very time-taking process. To avoid that manual build and deployment process, we are going to use Jenkins. By using Jenkins, we can automate build and deployment process of our application. And by using this Jenkins, we can implement CI/CD also. Continuous integration and continuous deployments can be implemented by using this Jenkins. Could you please read all the 4 points? Jenkins is a free and open source software, and it is developed using Java language. It is used to automate build and deployment process. Using Jenkins, we can implement CI/CD. First, let's understand what is build and deployment process. Development team will be available in the project. The development team will write the code and they will push their code into GitHub repository. Once the developers completed their coding, developers will integrate all the code at one place, that is repository. Some projects will use GitHub repositories. Some projects will use Bitbucket repositories. So development team will write the code, will store the code into GitHub. Once the code is available in the GitHub, then what is the responsibility of operations team? They need to take latest source code from the GitHub. Operations team has to take the latest source code from the GitHub repository. Then they need to compile that project source code. Suppose if it is a Java application, source code will be available with .java. .java files we cannot execute directly. The project should be compiled. So they need to take the latest source code from the GitHub and they need to compile the source code and they need to execute unit test cases of the application and they need to perform code review of the project using SonarQube, then package the application as a jar file or WAR file, then upload the application to Artifact Nexus server, then deploy the application in the server. We need to create the Docker image for that and we need to deploy the Docker image in the Kubernetes cluster. So all these steps should be performed by operations team. These steps are called as build and deployment process. Take latest source code from the GitHub, compile the project source code, execute unit test cases, perform the code review using Sonar, then package the application, upload the artifact into Nexus repository, then deploy the application in the server by using Docker images and a Kubernetes. So all these things we have to do manually. That is build and deployment process. Development team will be available. Operations team will be available. Once the development team work is done, then operations team work is going to start build and deployment. Are you guys clear? What are the steps involved in the build and deployment process? Are you guys clear with the steps that are involved in the build and deployment process? Taking the source code from the GitHub, compile the project source code and execute the test cases, performing the code review using Sonar, packaging the application as a jar file or WAR file, uploading the artifact into Nexus and deploy the application in the server. This is build and deployment process. Got it. Now here guys, in the real time, our application will not be deployed to one environment. Code is available in the GitHub. Our application should be deployed into dev environment. Application should be deployed into QA environment, and application should be deployed into production environment. In the real time, multiple environments will be available in order to test our application. In the real time, multiple environments will be available in order to test our application. Once the developer's coding is completed, that project will be deployed in the dev environment. Once the project development is completed, that will be deployed in the dev environment. So once we deploy in the dev environment, all the developers will check the project is working as expected or not. Once the dev is completed, then it will go to QA environment, quality assurance environment. Our application will be tested by testers. Once that is completed, then it will go to UAT, and then it will go to pilot, then it will go to production. So like this, multiple environments will be available in order to test our application. Operations team has to deploy our application into all these environments. Dev environment that will be used by developers. Developers will use to perform integration testing. QA environment, testers will use that to perform functional testing of the application. Prod environment, that is the live environment. Once we deploy the application in the production environment, end users can access our application. So like this, project will be having multiple environments. So in all these environments, we need to perform build and deployment process. So performing the build and deployment process in all the environments multiple times manually is very difficult and a time-taking process. I want to deploy the code into dev environment, then I need to deploy the code into QA environment, then I need to deploy the code into prod environment. Deploying our application into all these environments is difficult and time-taking process. It is difficult and time-taking process. Developers will use dev environment to perform integration testing. QA environment will be used by testers to perform functional testing. Prod environment, that is live environment, end users will use that environment to access our application. Okay guys, now if I am going to do this deployment manually, then what are the problems? What are the challenges that are available in manual process? Every day we need to deploy the latest code, deploy the code into multiple environments, and it is going to take a lot of time. And the same thing I need to do multiple times, repeated work we need to perform, deploy that, take the latest code, compile the latest code, package the latest code, deploy into dev environment. Then take the latest code, compile the code, package the code, deploy into SIT environment. Take the latest code, compile that code, package that code, deploy into production environment. So that is a repeated work that I need to do, and it is going to take a lot of time to deploy our code into multiple environments. And doing the manual deployment is error prone. As a human, there is a chance of doing the mistake. So here, these are the challenges that are involved in the manual build and deployment process. Every day we need to deploy the latest code. Deploying the code in the multiple environments will take a lot of time. Same work we need to do again and again, and there is a chance of doing the mistakes. Error prone, errors may come when we are doing this process manually. For every project, build and deployment is required. Once the developer's work is completed, then build and deployment process is going to start. So build and deployment process, what are the steps? We have seen that we need to take the latest code, we need to compile that code, we need to test that code, we need to review that code, we need to package that code, and we need to deploy into server. So that is build and deployment process. If I do that build and deployment process manually, a lot of challenges are available. Every day we need to deploy the code, and we need to deploy the same code into multiple environments. It will take a lot of time, and I need to do the repeated work, and it is error prone. To overcome all these challenges, we are going to automate that build and deployment process by using Jenkins. In order to avoid that manual process, we are going to automate that by using Jenkins. So in the Jenkins, we are going to create the jobs to perform our build and deployment process. So whatever the work that we are doing manually, that work can be automated by using Jenkins. Once the developers push the code into GitHub repository, then Jenkins will start. Jenkins' job is going to start. Jenkins' job will take the latest code from the GitHub. Jenkins will communicate with the Maven. Jenkins will perform build process. Jenkins will communicate with the Sonar, will perform the code review. Jenkins can communicate with the Tomcat to deploy the code. Jenkins can communicate with the Docker to build the Docker image. Jenkins will communicate with the Kubernetes to deploy the Docker container as a pod. So whatever the build and deployment process is there, instead of doing that process manually, we can automate that process by using Jenkins. Instead of doing that process manually, we can automate that by using Jenkins. Are you guys clear? See the diagram. Earlier, we need to perform manual build and deployment process. Now, instead of doing that manual build and deployment process, we can automate that. To automate that build and deployment process, we are using Jenkins. What is Jenkins? Jenkins is a free and open source software. Jenkins software developed by using Java. Jenkins is used to automate build and deployment process. What is the meaning of a build and deployment process? Taking the latest code, compiling the code, testing the code, reviewing the code, and deploying the code. So instead of doing all these things manually, we can go for Jenkins. By using Jenkins, we can automate that. Are you guys clear? Are you guys clear with what is Jenkins? Jenkins is free and open source software. It is developed using Java language. Jenkins is used to automate build and deployment process. Using Jenkins, we can implement CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. Then what is this build and deployment process? So taking the latest code, compiling the code, executing the test cases, performing the code review, packaging the application, uploading the application WAR file or jar file into Nexus repositories, and deploying the application in the server using Docker and Kubernetes, creating the Docker images and deploying the Docker image. All those things comes under build and deployment process. Uploading the build artifact to Nexus, deploy the application in the server with the Docker and Kubernetes. These all are the build process. So now this build process, are we going to do one time? Is it one-time activity? No. In the application, multiple environments will be available. Application should be deployed into multiple environments for testing purpose. Then finally, it will go to production. Dev environment, QA environment, prod environment will be available. Dev environment will be used by developers for integration testing. QA environment will be used by testers for functional testing. Prod environment is the live environment end users will access. So I need to deploy my code into multiple environments by following these steps. In every environment, I need to follow this build and deployment process steps. In every environment, I need to follow build and deployment steps. Now, so here, if I follow those steps and if I do the build and deployment manually, what are the challenges? Every day we need to deploy, and we need to deploy multiple times in multiple environments. It will take a lot of time and repeated work that we need to do, and it is error prone. That means there is a chance of doing the mistake. So to avoid that problem, we are going to automate our build and deployment process. So when we are automating our build and deployment process, we are going to use Jenkins. By using Jenkins, we can automate build and deployment process. So Jenkins is heart of the DevOps processes, guys. DevOps tools are there. Jenkins is called as one of the DevOps tool. It is used to automate build and deployment process. Whatever the build and deployment process that we need to perform, whatever the steps that we need to perform to deploy our application, those steps we will configure in the Jenkins. Jenkins will do that deployment. So if you just to click a button, then Jenkins will do all the steps. Jenkins can take the code, Jenkins can compile that using Maven, Jenkins can do the review by using Sonar, Jenkins can deploy the code into Tomcat, Jenkins can use Docker to create the Docker image, Jenkins can talk to Kubernetes to deploy our application. So all these things can be done by using Jenkins. Jenkins is open source CI/CD software. It is used to automate build process of our application. So I have given the notes also for this. What is the Jenkins? Open source automation tool developed using Java. It is part of a Hudson project earlier. Initially it is called as a Hudson, then later it is renamed to Jenkins. So now this Jenkins is mainly used for CI/CD. What is the CI/CD? CI and CD are two most frequently used terms in the modern development practices and DevOps practices. CI stands for continuous integration. CD means continuous delivery or continuous deployment. CI, continuous integration. What is the meaning of continuous integration? It is the fundamental DevOps practice where developers frequently merge code changes to repository where automated build and test will run. So now here, when the developer modify the code in the Git repository, immediately my Jenkins has to start and Jenkins has to take the latest code. It has to package the application into jar or var. That is called continuous integration. When the developer push the code into GitHub, immediately my Jenkins has to start the build process. That is called continuous integration. Continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Once integration is completed, once the package is created, immediately we need to deploy that application to the server. So that CI/CD is very important in the DevOps practices, continuous integration and continuous delivery. To automate that CI/CD process, we are going to use this Jenkins. So Jenkins is a self-contained open source automation server, which can be used to automate all sort of tasks related to build, test, deliver, and deploy the application. Okay, so this is about Jenkins. So we discussed already what is build and deployment process. And if you do this build and deployment process manually, what are the challenges also we understood. Quickly revise the slides once again. Now we are going to see how to set up Jenkins in our machine. Can you guys check this? What is Jenkins? And why Jenkins? You understand what is Jenkins and why Jenkins? All of you? Yeah, please read it. Just revise what we discussed, then we will go for setup. Free and open source software. It is developed using Java. It is used to automate build and deployment process. Using Jenkins, we can implement CI/CD. So what is this deployment process? Generally, if you want to deploy any application, developers will write the code and they will store into GitHub or Bitbucket. Then we need to perform this build process. Several steps involved in the build process. So this build process, are we going to do one time in the project or it is a repeated work? Every day we need to perform the build and deployment. That build and deployment also will happen in the multiple environments. So for every project, multiple environments will be available to test our application. So in every environment, multiple times we need to do the build and deployment. So that manual build and deployment process having some challenges. What are the challenges? Every day we need to deploy and we need to deploy into multiple environments. It will take a lot of time. And same work we need to do again and again. And it is error prone. So to automate this, to overcome the challenges, we are going to automate build and deployment process. To automate the build and deployment process, we are using Jenkins. In the Jenkins, we are going to configure some jobs. We are going to configure jobs in the Jenkins. What is the meaning of job in the Jenkins? Job will contain set of steps to perform the automation. First step, I will tell, take the code from GitHub. Second step, compile that code using Maven. Third step, review the code by using Sonar. Fourth step, deploy the code into Tomcat server. So like this, whatever the deployment process that we want to do manually, that can be automated by using Jenkins. Now, let us go for Jenkins installation, guys. Now here, let us take one Linux machine in the AWS cloud. In that Linux, I'm going to install Jenkins. Sign in. Go to EC2 service. Using EC2, we can create a virtual machine. Now, go to instances. Instances. Launch one new instance, guys. Take one instance. So instance name, you can give anything. I'm giving the name as Jenkins server. I'm going to take this as Ubuntu. Taking the image with the Ubuntu flavor Linux, Ubuntu 22 and Ubuntu 20. You can go for Ubuntu 22 or 20, but 20 is recommended, more stable version of the Ubuntu. So I'm taking one EC2 instance. For that instance, I'm giving the name as Jenkins server. And to create this instance, I'm using Ubuntu 20.0 image, then T2 micro, which is a free tier eligible, key pair, select the key pair. Yes. Now, network settings, select security group, or you can select the default security group, which is available. Default security group I have selected. Then I'm clicking on launch instance. That's it. Jenkins machine with Ubuntu 20.0 image and T2 micro key pair, and selecting the existing security group and clicking on launch instance. Fine. With this, my EC2 instance got created. Once EC2 instance got created, let's connect it to that instance to install Jenkins. So now still it is in the pending state. It should come to running state. Then we can connect to that. So here I have given the step how to set up the Jenkins server. Here we are going to create Ubuntu machine with the T2 micro, or you can take T2 medium also. Medium is a commercial, but micro is free tier. So I have taken free tier machine here. Now that machine is started. That machine having a public IP address. Using that public IP, we can connect to that machine. Take the public IP and go to our mobile Extrom and connect to that machine. Take new session, SSH, remote host, username. The default username is Ubuntu. Use the private key. Yeah, my PEM file, click on OK. Perfect. So with this, I'm able to connect with my EC2 instance. In this EC2 instance, now I need to install Jenkins. Okay. In order to install the Jenkins, first install the Java and then you can install the Jenkins, because Jenkins is developed by using Java. Java should be installed first. Before doing that, let me use update. Whatever the existing packages are available, let me update them. Sudo apt-get update. It will update the existing packages in this Linux machine. Yeah, it's updating that. Yes, it is done. You can see reading packages list. It is done. Now, next, install JDK. First, let me install this JDK. Copy this and execute this. So it is asking, do you want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. I want to install Java software here. It is taking time. Java is getting installed. OpenJDK 11 it is installing. Yeah, fine guys. So with this Java got installed, we can check that Java version. Yes, you can see OpenJDK 11 got installed in this machine. Once Java installation is completed, then we need to execute these commands in order to work with the Jenkins. So copy this command. This is used to add the Jenkins key. It is used to download the Jenkins key, wget command. Yes, it is giving as okay. That key got downloaded. Then take this command to add that key to the Jenkins list. Yes, it is done. Then once that key is added, then update that. Sudo apt get updates. So we have downloaded the Jenkins key and that key we added to the repository. Then finally apt get install Jenkins. So here I'm executing a command. Sudo apt get install Jenkins. Right. So then sudo systemctl status Jenkins. Jenkins is not found. Let me do this once again. Wget command. Key is downloaded. Add this to the Jenkins list. Done. Then sudo get update. It is giving some GPG error. Sudo apt get install Jenkins. Maybe that package is not available, guys. So it is giving the issue. The notes. So Jenkins installation that we have done. Ubuntu. This is also same thing. because it is not able to read that. I think they changed that repository URL. Here we are getting the error. Guys, this downloading is not happening with that key, so there is some issue with that. Maybe version changed. Yes. Now it is installing the Jenkins, guys. They have updated the keys in the latest version, so I need to change my document. So previously these commands worked, but now these two commands are not working. I'm taking the latest case from official website jenkins.io. Jenkins 2.3.97 and 2.3.87 new Linux repository signing keys. So here beginning March 28, 2023, the Jenkins weekly release will use new repository signing keys for the Linux installation package. So I think in the last one, they changed this thing. So we need to execute these commands now in the Debian Ubuntu machine. Suppose if you are going for Amazon Linux all, then you need to execute this command. Yeah. Now my Jenkins is trying to install. Here I have executed a command sudo apt-get install Jenkins. So with this, it is trying to install the Jenkins. Once the Jenkins installation got completed, we can access the Jenkins UI. Let's give some time for that. It's still installing that. Yes, fine. It is completed. Now my Jenkins installation got completed. Once the Jenkins installation got completed, then you can execute this command to check the status of the Jenkins. Yes, you can see Jenkins status is active. It is in the running state. Once it is in the running state, now we need to access the Jenkins in the browser. In order to access the Jenkins in the browser, we need to go here and check our Jenkins. What is the security group available? Default security group. In the default security group, we need to enable 8080 port number because Jenkins server will run on the port number 8080. So what is our public IP of that machine? Take the public IP of that machine and access that in the browser. This is my Jenkins machine. This is the public IP of that. Localhost colon 8080. Sorry, public IP colon 8080. My Jenkins machine is running in the cloud platform. Then I need to use http colon / public IP colon 8080. So with this, we are able to access the Jenkins. When we try to access the Jenkins, it is asking unlock the Jenkins. For that, we need to provide administrator password. Administrator password will be available in this location. By using a command, we can copy that password, sudo cat, and if you execute this command, you will get administrator password to work with the Jenkins. Now, fine, I got the password. Sudo cat command I have executed. It is giving me some password. Copy that password, select that and paste it here. Click on continue. So with this, my Jenkins server is getting started and it is asking me to customize the Jenkins. I need to install some plugins in that. Click on this button, install suggested plugins. It will take some time to install all the plugins that are required to work with the Jenkins. So we need to wait some time. All these plugins installation has to be completed. Yeah, hi guys. So with this, our plugins installation got completed. Now we need to create one admin account in the Jenkins. So I'm giving my username as Ashok IT, password also as Ashok IT. Okay, confirm the password, then give your full name and give your email ID, something like this. Once the Jenkins account got unlocked, then we install the plugins. Then we are creating the admin account. Click on save and continue. So this is the instance configuration. This is my Jenkins URL. Click on save and finish. My Jenkins is ready. Start using Jenkins. So with this, we are able to complete our Jenkins setup and we are able to log in into the Jenkins. If you click on logout, you will come to the home page of this. I have given my username and password. Using them, I'm able to log in. Then click on sign in. So with this, I'm able to log in into Jenkins. So here guys, so in the installation, so earlier these two commands worked, but in the latest version of the Jenkins, those two commands are not working. In the official website, they have updated the repositories which they have modified. So in the Ubuntu machines, you need to execute this command. Let me edit my documentation. Yes, so this command is not working and this command is also not working. So these are the two commands that we need to execute. After Java got installed, then we need to execute these two commands. Yeah, perfect. I have added that. This is one new command and this is another new command that we need to execute. Same thing, let me update in the notes as well. In the notes also, these old commands are available. Now, paste these two new commands. Yes, perfect. So what is our installation process that we followed for Jenkins? So first I have taken one Ubuntu machine. You can take with medium or micro. Medium is a commercial, micro is open source, free for 1 year. Then we need to create the Ubuntu VM. Once we created that machine, we enabled 8080 in the security group inbound rules because Jenkins server will run on the port number 8080. Once we have done this, we need to install Java. First, we are updating the existing packages by using apt-get update. Then after, we have installed Java by using this default JDK. Once the Java got installed, we need to download the Jenkins related keys. So this is the one command and this is the another command. First time I faced issue because I have executed the previous keys. So they have changed these keys in the March 2023. So these are the latest commands that we need to execute. Here one command is available and here another command is available. Once we have done those keys adding, then we need to update the package manager by using apt-get update. Once it is done, then we can execute the Jenkins. We can install the Jenkins by using apt-get install Jenkins. Once it is done, to check whether Jenkins is installed or not, we can go for sudo systemctl status Jenkins. So with this, you can see the Jenkins will be in the running state. Once the Jenkins is in the active state, then you can copy the admin password to unlock the Jenkins by using this command. Then go to browser and open your Jenkins by using EC2 public IP colon 8080. Whatever the admin password we copied, using that admin password we are able to unlock. It will ask you to install some plugins. We need to complete that plugins installation. So once the plugins installation got completed, create one admin account. So once the admin account is created, then we are able to see the home page of our Jenkins. Now, once we are able to see the home page of the Jenkins, in the Jenkins, we can create the job. So what is a job? Job is used to perform some operation. So I want to automate build and deployment process. To automate the build and deployment process, we are going to create job in the Jenkins. Okay. So you see here in the Jenkins, we can create the jobs in the two ways. One is by using this freestyle project, and the second one is by using pipelines. Okay, guys. So there are two ways to create the jobs in the Jenkins. What is your job in the Jenkins? Jenkins' job is used to automate, build, and deployment process. So in order to create that job, we are having two options. Now, here, once you log in into the Jenkins, here you can see new item. Once you click on the new item, you will get the freestyle project and pipeline. So freestyle project means using user interface, we can create the job. Pipeline means we are going to write the script to perform the build and automation. We will discuss both how to create the jobs by using freestyle project and how to create the jobs by using pipeline also. First, let me go for freestyle project. I'm going for job 1. Click on freestyle project, click on OK. So fine, I'm trying to create my first job in the Jenkins as a freestyle project. Click on this, go to Jenkins dashboard, click on the new item, enter the item name. So here I'm giving the description. This is my first Jenkins job. This is my first Jenkins job. Source code management. If you want to take the source code from the GitHub, you can mention that as Git. You provide the GitHub repository, GitHub credentials, GitHub branches you can give. But currently, I'm not going to deploy any project. Just I want to create one Jenkins job and I want to show you how to run that Jenkins job. This is my first Jenkins job and source code none. When this build should be executed, build trigger, I'm not configuring anything. Build environment, I'm not configuring anything. Build step up. What do you want to do? So do you want to execute Gradle? Do you want to execute Maven? Do you want to execute Ant? Do you want to execute shell? I just want to execute shell. Some Linux command I want to execute. Echo command I just want to execute. Okay, guys, I'm giving some script here. Echo is used to print a message on the terminal. Touch it. I'm creating a file. I want to write the data to the file and I want to execute. I want to execute some shell option. That's it. And click on apply, click on save. With this, my first Jenkins job got created. If you go to this job, here there are options available. Build now option available. Configure is available. Delete is available. Configure is used to change our job that we have created. So if you want to make any changes to the job, then you can go for configure. So if you want to run the job, then you can go for an option called build now. So when you click on the build now, the Jenkins job execution will be started. You see the build number is coming as 1. So if you click on this, go to console output, my build is executed. Echo hello guys command executed, hello guys printed. Touch ashokit.txt file is created, echo done. My job execution finished successfully. So where this job is executed, where it created the file. So this is the workspace of the Jenkins job. In our machine, where lib Jenkins workspace job 1 is available. Go to that location, cd space, that location. So that is our workspace location in the Jenkins, where our jobs are running in the Jenkins. In this location, our Jenkins jobs are running. Go to that location and execute it. You see, ashokit.txt file is created. So once the file is created, let us go for cat. Yes, hello guys, welcome to Jenkins classes. That file created with the message. How that file is created with that message? Because we have given that information in our script. So Jenkins build step is available. In the build step, I told to this machine to create a file with this text. So this is printing a message. It is creating a file. It is writing the data to the file and it is printing done. All these things we can see in the console output. So once the job is executed, job number is available. Go to console output. So this is our job status. It is success. So with this, we are able to create our first Jenkins job and we are able to run the first Jenkins job. Okay, guys. Now, next thing is we need to integrate Maven and GitHub and we need to build one Jenkins job that we will do in the tomorrow session. So today, I want you people to complete this Jenkins installation in Ubuntu and I want you to create one sample job in the Jenkins and try to run that. Let me create the job once again. See here, guys, how to create our first job in the Jenkins. Click on new item. There are two types of projects we can create. One is freestyle, another one is pipeline. Currently, we are going for freestyle. Let me take it as my job 2. You can give any name for the job and click on freestyle project. Then click on OK. So when we are trying to do this, you can see here left side, some menu options are available. General, whether you want to provide any description about the job. The next one is source code management. Where is your project source code? Specify the Git repository URL that we can configure here. Source code management. Build triggers. Build triggers will represent when this build should be triggered. Do you want to trigger the build for every 5 minutes? Do you want to trigger the build when the code is modified in the GitHub repository? What is your triggering point to run the job? That can be configured by using build trigger option and build environment. So do you want to use any secret files? Do you want to terminate if any build is stuck in the middle? That build environment can be configured. Build step. What do you want to do to build the project? So generally we will execute Maven goals or Gradle scripts. We will execute for that build. Currently my project is not available. I just want to execute some Linux shell. I want to execute one command. Echo command I'm executing. Hello, welcome to Jenkins job. Hello, welcome to Jenkins job. Echo is a Linux command to print the message, right? I'm writing echo as a build step. Build step I am writing to execute some shell. Tomorrow we will execute Maven goals by using this build step. Post build action. After your build execution is completed, what do you want to do? So generally people will send email to the team saying that build process completed successfully. So post build action, what do you want to do? Do you want to send an email notification? Do you want to push your artifact? Do you want to archive your artifact? Do you want to delete something? So like this, we can configure some post build action. Post build action means after our build got completed, what action we want to perform, that can be configured as a post build action. So job 2, general, here I'm going to configure. This is my second Jenkins job. Okay. Source code management. I'm not taking any code for this. It is a sample project. In future, tomorrow, we are going to take source code from the repository to build that. Currently, I'm not configuring any source code. Build trigger. When this build should be triggered, I will trigger the build manually. If you want to build periodically, so if you write 5 stars here, then build will trigger for every 1 minute. Automatically, my job will execute for every 1 minute. I don't want to do that now. I will execute manually. Build environment. So what do you want to do that? Build step. How you want to build this? Do you want to execute Maven goal? Do you want to execute Gradle? Or you want to execute normal Linux? What do you want to do? That you can configure as a build step. Now, post build action. Once your build is completed, what you want to do? I'm not doing anything here. Just leave it. Click on apply. Click on save. So with this, my second job also created. But in the second job, there is no execution history. This is not executed as of now. In order to execute that build, there is an option called build now. So when you click on the build now, that job is going to execute. So I have executed this one time. The build history number is 1. Click on that. Go to console output. You see, hello, welcome to Jenkins job. Job finished successfully. Where this job is executed, this job is having a workspace. Where lib Jenkins workspace job 2. So in this workspace directory, all our jobs will be executed. So now if you want to change something in the job, go to configure. In the configure, you can edit the job. Build trigger. For example, if I keep build periodically, then 5 stars. If I keep 5 stars, for every 1 minute, my build will be executed. Click on apply, click on save. Now you verify. I executed build only one time. Manually. Now you see that automatically that build will be executed for every 1 minute. Because build trigger I have configured. Periodical trigger. Every 1 minute, my build should execute. My job should execute. Manually, I executed one time. Now let's verify. automatically 2, 3, 4 should come. Now see, automatically build 2 started. That means it has executed that build. Second count, second number automatically executed. Exactly after 1 minute, third time it is going to start. Let's wait and see that. Number 3 also will come. Yeah, see here. Number 3 also started. So with this, you understand what is build trigger periodically. Build trigger periodically means I want to run my build for every 10 minutes or for every 1 hour I want to execute my job. That can be configured. Suppose I don't want to execute for every 1 minute. I don't want to execute for every 1 hour. What I want to do is I want to execute my build when developer changes something in the GitHub. Then you can go for a option called poll SCM. So when you configure the poll SCM, every time when the developer change the code in the Git repository, automatically my build will execute. That is called continuous integration that we'll be discussing in the coming classes. So I hope you understand what is Jenkins and why we are going for Jenkins. What are the problems if Jenkins is not available? What is the manual build deployment process and how to automate that by using Jenkins, and how to set up the Jenkins, and how to create first job by using Jenkins. Are you guys clear with these points for today? In the tomorrow session, I'm going to show you how to create a job with a GitHub and Maven, how to take the code from the GitHub and how to build that code by using Maven with the help of Jenkins. That is our tomorrow's topic. So any questions, anyone? You can ask me now.
Yeah, Ashok, I have it because as we learned that Jenkins developed using Java language. Correct. So can we say like this, only Java projects can be automated through Jenkins?
No, it is developed by using Java. By using Jenkins, we can automate any kind of project, even Python,
like Python,
projects.
.NET, anyway. Okay.
Ashok, one thing,
Yes.
Last time you explained about the Helm chart, and using the Helm chart we install Kibana and other steps. The same way we can do for the Jenkins. No need to install manually, right? Using the Helm chart, I can.
Jenkins can be installed, but Jenkins we don't install in the Kubernetes. Now Jenkins will be in the separate machine. Kubernetes cluster will be separate. You got my point. Helm chart is used to install some software in the Kubernetes cluster, but we don't install Jenkins server in the Kubernetes cluster. Jenkins will be outside of the cluster.
Why? Do you have any reason why?
No, man. What is the purpose of Kubernetes? The purpose of Kubernetes, the purpose of Jenkins is different, right? So Jenkins is a heavyweight machine. If you run your Jenkins in the cluster, unnecessarily you are consuming the cluster resources, right? Cluster is used to run our application, not to run the Jenkins. Jenkins machine will be separate. Jenkins machine will deploy the application in the cluster. Nobody will run Jenkins server in the Kubernetes cluster. Jenkins will be in the separate machine. Kubernetes cluster will be separate. By using Jenkins, we will deploy our application in the cluster. You got it?
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
And one more thing, guys. Here, we have installed the Jenkins software manually. So we can install the Jenkins by using a Docker image also. For the Jenkins server, Docker image is available. Using the Docker image, we can install the Jenkins. That is also another process we can do. One thing, today I have installed Jenkins manually. If you have Docker installed in your machine, you can pull the Jenkins image from the Docker hub and you can run the Jenkins image. Then Jenkins server will start. In 2 ways, we can do that.
So, Ashok, can you set up a CI/CD for any kinds of projects?
Any kind of Jenkins can be used to set up CI/CD for any type of technology, for Python, for .NET, for Angular, for React, you can use. I will show you multiple technologies here.
In that time, Ashok,
both front-end and back-end also, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So Ashok, suppose currently we are using the Maven, but in that case we'll not use Maven, right? If it is a .NET or Python, something like that. Because
for them, tools will be different. For Java,
okay,
Maven
okay,
is
yeah,
there. For
yeah.
.NET,
Okay.
different tools will be there.
Okay,
But Jenkins will be common for all the tools.
Okay, thank you.
Jenkins you can install in the Windows also, but recommended to install in the Linux. In the real time, it will be running in the Linux machine.
Hello, Ashok. This is
Yeah, hi.
Prashant this side. Actually,
hi.
I want to share something regarding my interview.
Yeah, please.
I have attended, I'm your 07 and 10 JIT batch student also. So actually, I'm working as a Spring Boot developer only, but I have taken the interview regarding microservices. I just told them I have 2 years of experience in developing microservices. He said only to write how you will write a REST template and web client, and also Eureka server configurations and all those things. He just impressed how you taught. I written only those things. He just impressed, and within the 10 minutes, my interview got over.
Okay, good. Congratulations, Prashant. Which
Thank
company?
you. It's a Capgemini.
Any questions from Docker and Kubernetes?
No, just they want only microservice developer. So
okay, Spring Boot microservices developer.
Yes,
okay, good.
And even also, I'm following from your other institute also. Even advanced Java Spring, I learned from you only.
Okay, good, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Fine, guys. Yeah. Guys, so I will upload the document in the portal now. Please install Jenkins in the Linux machine and set up the first job and practice. So tomorrow we will see how to create our jobs with Git, Maven integrations and all. Thank you. We'll see you in the tomorrow's class.